Hi guys, my name is Danica Padilla and I am here to discuss with you my activity on Chapter 13, Strategic Decision Making, Oligopoly Markets. A market structure in which a few large firms, each with a degree of market power, sell either standardized products or differentiated products is called an oligopoly. Because no single firm dominates the market, which there is a limited competition. Oligopoly arises when a small number of large firms have all or most of the sales in an industry. Examples of oligopoly abound and include the auto industry, cable television, and commercial air travel. Oligopolistic firms are like cats in a bag. They can either scratch each other to pieces to cuddle up and get comfortable with each other. If oligopolists compete hard, they may end up acting very much like perfect competitors, driving down costs and leading to zero profits for all. In an oligopoly, a few sellers supply a sizable portion of products in the market. They exert some control over price, but because their products are similar, when one company lowers price, the others follow. Oligopoly may be categorized as either homogeneous oligopoly or a differentiated oligopoly. In a homogeneous oligopoly, the major peers produce identical products such as steel bars and aluminum ingots. Prices tend to be uniform in homogeneous oligopoly. One important source of oligopoly power is barriers to entry. Barriers to entry are obstacles that make it difficult to enter a given market. This means that new firms cannot enter the market whenever existing firms are making a positive economic profit, as is in the case in perfect competition. Non-price competition involves ways that firms seek to increase sales and attract customers through methods other than price. Non-price competition can include quality of the product, unique selling point, superior location, and after-sales service. Examples of non-price competition is advertising or brand loyalty. Firms spend billions on advertising because repeated exposure to famous brands can make consumers more likely to buy trusted brands. The strategy that firms may use is the cost-plus pricing. It is a straightforward pricing method where a firm sets a price by calculating average product cost and then adding a fixed markup to achieve a desired profit level. When a few large firms dominate a market, there is always the potential for businesses to seek to reduce uncertainty and engage in some form of collusive behavior. When firms act together in this way to reduce output and keep prices high, it is called collusion. A group of firms that have a formal agreement to collude to produce the monopoly output and sell at the monopoly price is called a cartel. The colluding firms may act as a monopoly, reducing their individual output so that their collective output would equal that of a monopolist, allowing them to earn higher profits. However, collusive oligopoly is inherently unstable because the most efficient firms will be tempted to break ranks by cutting prices in order to increase market share. The several factors deter collusion are: first, price fixing is illegal in the United States, and antitrust laws exist to prevent collusion between firms. Second, coordination among firms is difficult and becomes more so greater the number of firms involved. Third, there is a threat of defection. A firm may agree to collude and then break the agreement, undercutting the profits of the firm still holding to the agreement. Lastly, a firm may be discouraged from collusion if it does not perceive itself to be able to effectively punish firms that may break the agreement. Collusion requires an agreement, either explicit or implicit, between cooperating firms to restrict output and achieve the monopoly price. This causes the firms to be interdependent as the profit levels of each firm depend on the firm's own decisions and the decisions of all firms in the industry. Collusion is a non-competitive, secret, and sometimes illegal agreement between rivals which attempts to disrupt the market's equilibrium. The act of collusion competition involves people or companies which would typically compete against one another, but who conspires to work together to gain an unfair market advantage. Next discussion is my activity on Chapter 14, Advanced Pricing Techniques. Cost plus pricing is the most straightforward pricing strategy out there, sometimes called a variable cost pricing strategy, variable cost pricing model, or even full cost pricing. This price method guarantees that you never lose money in a sale. Cost plus pricing is a method of determining price by setting price equal to average total cost plus a portion or M of ATC as a markup. For example, you make a product for $15 and want a 50% profit margin. You price it $30, which every retailer does this in some way to maximize profits. Also, cost plus pricing is often used by retail companies like clothing, grocery, and department stores. It is a form of second-degree price discrimination that offers quantity discounts over successive blocks of quantities purchased. Since the value of additional units of a product falls as a consumer buys more units, declining block prices motivates individuals to buy more than they would buy when facing a single uniform price. All consumers face the same pricing schedule, and those who buy more will reach lower priced blocks of the product. Block pricing only makes sense when individuals buy more than one unit of the good or service per time period. Electric companies frequently use this type of price discrimination. For example, an electric company charges 9 cents per kilowatt hour for the first 300 kilowatt hours of electricity used in a month, 5 cents per kilowatt hour for the block 301 to 1000 kilowatt hours, and 4 cents per each kilowatt hour over 1000. Is charging different prices for the same product for the purpose of capturing consumer surplus. The objective of charging different prices for the same good or service to capture consumer surplus, transforming it into profit for the firm. When a firm charges different prices across different units or different markets for the same product, the seller is price discriminating. There are many industries that use price discrimination. For example, when a consumer purchases airline tickets several months in advance, they will typically pay less than a consumer who purchases a ticket for the same flight 2 days before. It is an exactly the same product must have different prices. If consumers perceive that goods are not identical, they will value the goods differently, creating separate demand curves and separate markets for the different goods. Common examples of first-degree price discrimination include car sales at most dealerships, where the customer really expects to pay full sticker price, scalpers of concert and sporting events tickets, and roadside sellers of food and produce. For price discrimination to exist, cost must be the same for each market. If costs vary across markets, a profit-maximizing manager who follows the MR equals MC rule will of course charge different prices. This is not the case of price discrimination. Cost differences are frequently subtle and difficult to detect. Common examples of second-degree price discrimination include quantity discounts for energy use, the variation in price for different sizes of boxed cereal, packaged paper products, sodas, and french fries at fast food outlets. Last type of price discrimination is third-degree price discrimination. This technique can be applied when firms are able to both identify and separate two or more groups or sub-markets of consumers. Each group or sub-market is charged a different price for exactly the same product. In contrast to first-degree price discrimination, all buyers within each sub-market pay the same price. Third-degree price discriminator does not haggle over prices in an effort to capture the entire consumer surplus, and so buyers in all of the sub-markets. Examples of third-degree Price discrimination include business versus tourist airfares, business versus residential telephone service, and senior discounts. Uniform pricing occurs when businesses charge the same price for every unit of the product they sell, no matter who the buyers happen to be or how much they choose to buy. For example, pharmacies may charge senior citizens lower drug fees than regular citizens. Airlines frequently charge business travelers higher airfares than leisure travelers. And Walmart gives lower price to buyers who choose to purchase large quantities. A two-part pricing plan creates average prices that decline with the amount purchased by a consumer. It's a form of second-degree price discrimination that charges buyers a fixed access charge, or A, to purchase as many units as they wish for a constant fee, or F per unit. Sample of a two-part pricing is a nightclub that charges a cover fee to enter. Beverage manufacturers benefit from price optimization more than any other industry, but at the same time, it is often an incredibly challenging task. At the other end of the spectrum, a low price says low or average quality. They use data and statistics to find a price. Their strategies is lower the price so customer was bound to buy more drinks if they were priced lower than the competitor. Price is important to marketers because it represents marketers' assessment of the value customers see in the product or service and are willing to pay for a product or service. Both a price that is too high and one that is too low can limit growth. The wrong price can also negatively influence sales and cash flow. This pricing strategy is perhaps the most familiar for consumers. The idea behind the manufacturer's suggested retail price, or MSRP, is to standardize the prices of products sold across multiple locations, and it is often used for mass-produced items like consumer electronics or household appliances. In an effort to survive the healthcare system, hospitals determine how much it costs them to treat a patient with insurance. They then multiply the cost for a factor of 2, 3, or whatever number they think will help bring in enough money to help cover the cost of treating patients who don't have any insurance. Hospitals use bundled pricing strategy, a consistent and measurable methodology to identify which aspect of the service or procedure is driving up the cost. Because bundled pricing makes it easier for patients to compare and understand how certain variables of procedure affect the overall medical cost of care. Price is the exchange value of goods or services in terms of money. Price of a product or service is what the seller feels it worth in terms of money to the buyer. Price control is an economic policy imposed by governments that set minimums or floors and maximums or ceilings for the prices of goods and services in order to make them more affordable for consumers.